She thought her appearance would scare the human. Sharing a bed was the last thing she expected. My escape pod groaned its last breath, a flaming chunk of scrap metal digging a crater into what looked like rust-colored sand dunes that stretched to a sky the color of dried blood. I'd been running cargo, honest cargo, for once. When the void scorpions hit, didn't stand a chance. Now I was stranded on some godforsaken rock, suit systems failing, air scrubber on the fritz, just my luck. I scrambled out of the mangled pod, hacking on the thin, metallic-tasting air. Nothing but dunes and weird, jagged rock formations that hummed faintly. Magnetic interference, probably. Standard shit for an uncharted system. My blaster was dead. My comms were toast. All I had was a half-empty water ration, a multi-tool, and the sarcastic voice in my head telling me I was going to die alone and dehydrated. Then I saw her, rising from behind one of the jagged rocks, not walking, more flowing. She was tall, maybe 7 feet, lean and powerful. Her skin wasn't skin, not really. It was plates, overlapping like insect armor, shifting and clicking softly as she moved. And it wasn't just armor. It was alive. Along her arms, her neck, her face, intricate lines glowed with a soft internal light that pulsed like a second heartbeat. Her eyes, large and multifaceted, stared right through me. No pupils, just swirling patterns of light. My gut twisted. Not just fear, but something primal. Something that recognized apex predator when it saw it. She didn't speak at first. She just glided closer, her movements fluid, almost silent. The sand didn't seem to impede her. A low hum started. Not from the rocks, but from her. It vibrated in my chest. A deep, resonant frequency that made the hairs on my arms stand up. I backed away slowly. Hands up. Whoa there, easy. I'm just a poor schmuck who crashed. No threat. See? Empty hands. The humming intensified. She stopped a few feet away, the light in her plates flaring slightly. She tilted her head, her gaze sweeping over me, assessing every inch. It felt like being scanned by a biological probe. Human, she finally said, her voice a low, resonant rumble like stones shifting underground. It wasn't the cadence of universal standard. It was older, harsher, weak form, broken vessel. Not of this place. Yeah, crash-landed, I repeated, trying to keep my voice steady. My heart hammered against my ribs. This wasn't just some random alien. This felt ancient, powerful. The glowing patterns on her skin seemed to map constellations I'd never seen. Any chance you got a spare ride out of here? Or hell, even some water? She didn't answer the question. Instead, one of her plated hands lifted slowly, not towards me aggressively, but contemplatively. The light on her fingertips pulsed faster. You arrived in fire, a sign. The whispers spoke of a form from the sky, marked by chaos. She circled me, her humming following her. The air around her felt charged. Magnetized, maybe. My domain, my claim. You are mine now. My brain, wired for survival through sarcasm, kicked in. You're to claim? Look, lady, I appreciate the territorial welcome, but I'm really more of a free agent. Not looking to be claimed by anyone, especially not by someone who looks like they wrestled a space crab and won. Her head snapped back slightly. The light on her face rippled, and for a second, I thought I saw something like amusement in those swirling eyes. But then the commanding tone returned, sharper this time. Mockery of the rights is punishable by dissolution. Dissolution? Sounded permanent. You have fallen onto a sacred ground, the crucible of ages. Your arrival demands acknowledgement, a trial. A trial. For crashing? I laughed. A short, nervous bark. What kind of trial? Are we talking like walk across hot coals or fight the biggest thing you see? Because my track record with spontaneous physical challenges isn't great. She didn't reply verbally. Instead, she reached out with impossible speed and strength. Not grabbing me, but placing her hand flat on my chest. The light on her palm flared. and the humming intensified to a deafening roar inside my head. It wasn't sound, it was pure vibration, overwhelming my senses. A jolt, like being struck by lightning, ripped through me. I gasped, doubling over, the world swimming. When the intense vibration faded, leaving only a faint echo, she withdrew her hand. My chest felt strange, cold and tingling where she touched me. She looked down at me, her glowing eyes holding my gaze. The trial is decreed, survival is not guaranteed, but completion brings claim. Her voice was low again, a promise and a threat rolled into one. Come, the crucible awaits. She turned, gliding away across the dunes, the light on her form a beacon in the twilight. I had a feeling come wasn't a suggestion. My legs felt like lead, my mind reeled, but something in me knew I had no choice. I was in her world now, on her terms. And her terms involved trials and being claimed. God help me. She led me through a labyrinth of those humming rock formations. The sand gave way to cracked, dry earth, then to smooth, obsidian-like surfaces that seemed to absorb the fading light. The humming was constant here, vibrating up through the soles of my boots. It was disorienting, making my teeth ache. She moved with unnatural grace, her plated form a dark silhouette against the darkening sky, the glowing lines on her body the only illumination. So, I panted, trying to keep pace. This crucible of ages, is it like a historical landmark? Tourist trap? Or is this where you guys hatch from giant eggs? She glanced back, her gaze sharp. Ignorance is a weight, shed it or be crushed. Right, noted. Less witty banter, more existential dread. Got it. We reached a chasm, invisible until we were right on its edge. A dizzying drop into absolute blackness. But across it, spanning the void, was a bridge. Not built stone or metal, but woven light, pulsating, shifting colors, shimmering like an aurora turned solid. It hummed louder than anything else, a deep, resonant chord that made the ground tremble faintly. She stepped onto the bridge without hesitation. It felt solid beneath her, though the light warped around her feet. She looked back at me, the path of knowing. Only those deemed worthy by the crucible may cross. Doubt invites dissolution. Great. So, if I'm not feeling particularly worthy today, I just dissolve. The rites are absolute. Right, rights. Gotcha. I took a deep breath. All right, wish me luck, not dissolving, I guess. I stepped onto the bridge. It held. It didn't feel like solid ground, though. More like stepping into warm, thick honey that supported my weight but pulsed with energy. The humming intensified, vibrating through my entire skeleton. My vision blurred for a second. My chest, where she'd touched me, felt like it was echoing the bridge's hum. As we crossed, the air grew thicker, heavier. Strange symbols appeared in the light of the bridge, swirling around us too fast to decipher. They felt like thoughts, ancient and alien, pressing in on my mind. I focused on her steady form ahead of me, the rhythm of her movement across the light bridge. It was the only anchor in the weird, pulsating chaos. We reached the other side, stepping onto ground that felt smooth and cool, utterly silent after the bridge's roar. Before us was a structure, not a building, but a massive, natural-looking amphitheater carved into the rock face. The air inside was still, heavy with the scent of ozone and something else, something earthy and faintly sweet. At the center of the amphitheater was a raised platform, also glowing faintly. And surrounding the platform, etched into the walls and floor, were more glowing lines, more ancient symbols. This was it, the crucible. She turned to face me, her posture commanding. The light patterns on her armor pulsed slowly now, like embers. You stand within the sanctum of the crucible. Here, the essence is revealed, lies falter, strength is tested, and the unworthy are returned. Returned to what? The dust? Because that's kind of what dissolution sounded like. Return to the source. Become energy. Rejoin the flow. She paused, her head tilted slightly. You ask many questions. a sign of a searching core, or a fearful one. Little column A, little column B, I admitted. Mostly fearful right now, to be honest. What exactly is this trial going to involve? Because I'm not exactly armed for bear, or whatever the local equivalent is. The crucible tests the core, not the shell. She stepped onto the platform. Step forth, human. Let the crucible see your truth, and I will witness it as your claimer. That word again, claimer, sounded less like a title and more like ownership. Great. I hesitated, looking around the silent, expectant amphitheater. The air felt thick with unseen energy. This wasn't just some alien tradition. It felt like magic or technology so advanced it was indistinguishable. But she was waiting, a figure of alien power and grace on the glowing platform. And the thought of not stepping up, of earning her disdain or some unknown cosmic penalty, felt worse than facing whatever this trial was. With a sigh, I walked onto the platform. The moment my boot touched the surface, the glowing lines across the amphitheater flared to blinding intensity, bathing the space in raw, humming light. The trial had begun, and I had no damn idea what it was. The light washed over me, not hot, but penetrating. It felt like fingers probing my mind, my memories, my very being. It wasn't painful, just intrusive. Everything felt laid bare. My past mistakes, my regrets, the cargo I'd smuggled, the people I'd crossed, the fear gnawing at me now. It was all out there, projected onto the invisible screens of this alien crucible. I squeezed my eyes shut for a second, exposed and vulnerable. Then images started appearing in the light, swirling around me. Not just my memories, but hers? Or maybe the history of this place. I saw fleeting visions, figures with glowing plates like hers, fighting colossal beasts, communing with the humming rocks, structures rising and falling, and the light pulsed with emotion, pride, ferocity, sorrow, ancient duty. Through it all, I felt her presence, watching me from the platform. Her humming returned, a soft vibration now, somehow linked to the crucible's energy. It felt less like a threat and more like observation. Study. The crucible perceives. Her voice rumbled, echoing in the luminous space. It sees your history, your burdens, the stains upon your core. Yeah, well, lived a complicated life, I muttered, blinking against the light. Tried to be honest, sometimes. Mostly just tried to survive. Survival, she echoed. A basic drive. But is it tempered by strength? By purpose? The images shifted, focusing on specific moments from my past. The sting of betrayal, the cold logic of survival, the brief flashes of connection I'd allowed myself before running again. It was like watching my own personal highlight reel of how not to be a hero. Then, the images changed again. They focused on my body, my physical limits, my injuries, the fatigue from the crash and the trek. The light seemed to scan me, measuring my physical form, my endurance. She stepped closer on the platform, her glowing eyes fixed on me. The trial of form. The crucible tests the vessel, its resilience, its capacity. My capacity for what? For enduring, she stated simply. For bending, not breaking. For holding the resonance. Suddenly, the humming intensified again, focusing directly on me. It wasn't just vibration this time. It was a physical pressure, building inside my chest, pushing against my bones. It was like being compressed from the inside out. I gritted my teeth, staggering slightly. The glowing lines on her armor pulsed in time with my rising discomfort. The resonance builds, she announced, her voice calm amidst my struggle. Match it, human, or be shattered. Match it? How the hell was I supposed to match a cosmic vibration? I focused inwards, trying to breathe through the pressure, trying to find some kind of stability within myself. I thought about every tight spot I'd been in, every time I'd pushed my body past its limit just to stay alive. That stubborn refusal to die. The pressure grew, agonizingly. I felt my vision graying at the edges, but I didn't fall. I stayed on my feet, trembling, focusing all my will on simply enduring, on not letting this alien magic break me. Then, subtly, something shifted. The overwhelming pressure didn't lessen, but it changed. It felt less like external force and more like an internal presence, echoing the humming in my chest. That strange tingling from her touch earlier intensified, syncing with the crucible's energy. It was like my own body was learning to vibrate in harmony with the external force. She let out a low sound, a resonant note that cut through the humming. It wasn't words, but it felt like recognition or surprise. He adapts, she murmured, not to me, but to the empty air. The crucible itself, the weak form, finds strength in resonance. The pressure finally, slowly, subsided. I gasped, sucking air into my aching lungs. Leaning forward, hands on my knees. I felt utterly drained, but intact. Not shattered. She stepped down from the platform, coming to stand before me. The intense light faded, leaving the softer glow of the etched symbols and her own body armor. She looked at me with those multifaceted eyes, a new intensity in her gaze. "You endured the resonance threshold," she said, her voice holding a note I couldn't quite place. "Respect? Curiosity? Few non-aligned forms survive this phase. Your core is resilient." "Yeah, well, been called worse," I croaked, straightening up slowly. "So, trial over? Did I pass? What happens now? Do I get a prize? A towel?" She reached out again, slowly this time, and touched my chest, right where her hand had been before. The tingling flared, not painful, but deep. Her fingers weren't rough or cold. They felt strangely warm against my shirt. "The trial of form is complete. You have demonstrated a compatibility." Compatibility? That sounded less like pass the test, and more like, then something else. Something unsettlingly personal. Compatibility for what exactly? I asked, my voice back to its usual sarcastic edge, though my legs were still shaking. "For the next phase of the rites," she stated, her gaze locked on mine. "For the merging, for the claiming." My eyes widened. Merging? Claiming? This was moving way faster and way weirder than I'd anticipated. This wasn't just a cultural test. This was leading somewhere I really didn't want to go. "Whoa, hold on," I said, stepping back slightly. "Merging? What kind of merging are we talking about here? Because if this is some kind of alien marriage proposal based on my ability to vibrate, I think there's been a misunderstanding." Her head tilted again. The light on her plates pulsed with a faint rhythm. "Misunderstanding? The crucible has decreed your resilience. I have witnessed your adaptation. The path is clear." Clear to you? Maybe? To me, it's a goddamn mystery wrapped in a humming enigma. I ran a hand through my hair. "Look, I appreciate the thorough vetting process, but I just want to get off this rock. No offense. But your planet is trying to vibrate me to death. Your buildings are made of light, and the local wildlife looks like it could eat a tank." She took another step closer, invading my personal space. Her height loomed over me, and the soft humming from her throat nodes was now distinctly audible. "You are claimed by my witness. Your presence is acknowledged by the crucible. To deny the rights is to invite terminal instability." Terminal instability? That sounded even worse than dissolution. She reached out again, her glowing hand moving towards my face. I flinched back instinctively. "Terminal instability? Is that like, I explode? Because I'm really trying to avoid exploding today." She paused, her hand hovering near my cheek. Her swirling eyes seemed to soften, or maybe it was just the light shifting. "The bond, once initiated, seeks completion. Resistance warps the flow, causes pain. Ultimately, cessation." The bond. Was that what the tingling in my chest was? What the crucible had initiated? A bond? Great. Just great. I was bonded to a giant, glowing alien warrior lady who talked about merging and claiming like it was a grocery list. "So," I said, trying to process this, "let me get this straight. I crashed here. You put me through a vibrating light trial, and now I'm bonded to you? And if I don't go along with whatever this merging thing is, I get terminal instability, which sounds like a fancy alien way of saying I die. Accurate, she confirmed, her voice level. The rites demand completion. The claim must be sealed. Your form resonated. It accepted the initial bond pattern. I didn't accept anything. I just didn't want to get dissolved or shattered. Endurance is acceptance, she stated, as if it was the most obvious thing in the universe. Your will bent to the crucible's demand, to the rites. Now, the claim requires the shared vessel for survival, for resonance stabilization. Shared vessel? What the hell did that mean? Shared vessel? Are we talking like, we gotta live in the same tent? Or are you talking about something else entirely? Her expression remained unreadable, but the light on her plate seemed to pulse with a slightly different rhythm. A hint of something. Anticipation? The body is a vessel. The claim merges vessels, stabilizes the bond. My blood ran cold. Merging vessels? Was she talking about sex? With a 6-foot-something glowing alien, made of living armor? My mind reeled. This was beyond anything I could have imagined. Beyond any weird alien encounter I'd ever heard about in the Outer Rim bars. You mean, we have to? My voice trailed off. She didn't say the word. She didn't have to. Her glowing eyes held mine, and the humming intensified slightly. The bond demands it, for stability, for completion, for survival on this ground, under the claim. Survival, always survival. That was the only language I truly understood. And according to her, my survival was now explicitly linked to hers, sealed by some weird alien resonance bond initiated by a mystical glowing trial, and the key to stabilizing it was merging our vessels. Look, I said, running a shaky hand over my face. This is a lot. I just crash-landed, remember? My brain is still trying to catch up to the fact that you're not an elaborate hallucination. The rites do not wait for the slow processing of a chaotic mind, she said, dismissively. The bond initiates discomfort the longer it remains unsealed. We must seek the chamber of resonance. Quickly. Chamber of resonance sounded suspiciously like an alien bedroom. My sarcastic facade was crumbling rapidly, replaced by sheer mind-numbing bewilderment and a growing knot of something else low in my gut. She was utterly serious. She believed this was necessary. She believed I was claimed. Okay, I said, taking a deep breath. Okay, let's go to the chamber of resonance. Just maybe explain this whole bonding, claiming, merging thing to me on the way. Slowly. She simply turned and began to glide away from the platform, towards a dark opening in the rock face. The light on her form cast long, shifting shadows. I followed her, feeling completely out of my depth. Bonded, claimed, merging vessels, survival. This wasn't just a crash, it was a kidnapping into an alien relationship ritual, and my only escape route seemed to be compliance. She led me deeper into the rock, the air growing cooler, the humming a distant echo now. The passageway was narrow in places, forcing me to walk close behind her. The soft glow of her armored body illuminated the path. The rock walls were smooth, cool to the touch, etched with faint patterns that mirrored the glowing lines on her. This entire place felt alive, infused with the same strange energy as the crucible and her own form. This is the heart of the sanctum, she stated, her voice softer here, resonating slightly in the enclosed space, where the core energy of the rites is strongest. Strongest for what? I asked, trying not to trip in the near darkness. More vibrating? Because I think I've had enough cosmic massage for one lifetime. For alignment, she replied. The bond pattern flows from the crucible to the vessels. Unsealed, it causes dissonance, pain. Sealed, to bring strength, stability. And sealing it involves this. Merging? Precisely. The physical union aligns the resonant frequencies, anchors the bond. Without it, the chaotic energies overwhelm the weaker vessel. In this case, yours. Nice to know I'm the weak link in this cosmic coupling. She stopped, turning to face me in the narrow passage. Her glowing eyes seemed to pierce the dimness. It is not weakness, simply difference. Your form was not designed for the unmediated resonance of the crucible. Mine was. But the bond transcends form. It links essences. Essences. Right. Because vessels wasn't vague and terrifying enough. So, is this a common thing? Humans crashing here and getting bonded? You are the first sky form to endure the resonance threshold in cycles, she said. Your presence was unexpected. But the rites adapt. They recognize potential. Potential for what? To be getting bonded human? She considered this. To be bonded. To share the claim. To walk the path with me. Sounds less like a path and more like a leash. A low sound rumbled in her throat, deeper than the humming. Was that amusement? The claim is mutual once sealed. It is protection. It is obligation. It is resonance. Right, resonance. My favorite new word. The tingling in my chest had grown stronger. A low thrumming that felt connected to her, to the ancient rock around us. It wasn't painful yet, but it was undeniably there, a constant reminder of the involuntary link between us. And if we don't, the merge, this discomfort gets worse, it will become agonizing, she confirmed, without a hint of drama. And ultimately, terminal. My stomach clenched. She wasn't just talking about discomfort. She was talking about a biological imperative enforced by some alien energy field that would literally kill me if I didn't comply. This wasn't a choice. It was a biological gun to my head. Or my chest, specifically. So, basically, have sex with the alien warrior lady or die, I summarized, the sarcasm brittle. Real romantic setup you got here. She tilted her head again, her eyes seeming to analyze my words. Sex? Is that your term for the physical exchange? Yeah, that's the term for it. The merging of vessels. The physical exchange. You know, physical exchange, she repeated slowly, testing the words. It lacks resonance. The claim requires more than mere exchange. It requires alignment. Surrender? Surrender? My back went up. Look, lady, I'm already here under duress, being threatened with cosmic death if I don't merge. I don't plan on surrendering to anything or anyone. Her gaze intensified. The rites demand it. One must yield to the other's resonance for full alignment. For the bond to anchor. Yield? Surrender? Hell no. Then the alignment will be incomplete. The dissonance will persist. The pain will grow. Her tone was flat, stating a simple, terrible fact of her world. My mind raced. Yield? Surrender? To her? Every instinct screamed against it. My whole life had been about not surrendering, about staying free, about being my own man, flawed as he was. But the humming in my chest was undeniable, and the threat of terminal instability felt terrifyingly real. Okay, fine, I said, exhaling slowly. Let's just see what this chamber of resonance looks like. One step at a time. No promises about surrendering to anything. She seemed to accept this. She turned again and continued down the passage. The air grew warmer. Faint, ambient light pulsed from the rock itself now. A soft, golden glow that cast their surroundings in a strange, intimate light. We reached a wider cavern, not large, but circular, with a smooth, slightly concave floor that felt strangely warm under my feet. The walls here were covered in the same glowing etchings, pulsing with a slow, steady rhythm that seemed to resonate with the thrumming in my chest. In the center of the cavern, the light was strongest, pooling on the floor. The chamber of alignment, she announced, stepping into the center of the space. The light intensified around her, making her glowing armor shimmer. Here, the frequencies converge. Here, the bond is sealed. I stepped in after her, my boots making no sound on the smooth floor. The air was thick with the same energy as the crucible, but warmer, softer. It felt charged, anticipatory. She turned to face me fully, standing in the heart of the glowing light. Her plated armor shifted and clicked faintly. The humming from her throat nodes was louder here, a deep, resonant thrum that seemed to vibrate directly into my own body. syncing with the tingling in my chest. Her multifaceted eyes held my gaze, unblinking. "The claim demands completion," she stated, her voice commanding, yet with an undertone of something else, something vulnerable, or just ritualistic intensity. "Your form resonates. The crucible has judged it capable of holding the pattern. Now, we align. Vessel to vessel, core to core." She began to shed her armor. Not piece by piece, but it seemed to flow back into her, becoming part of her form, the glowing lines intensifying as the outer plates withdrew. Beneath the armor, her skin wasn't plated, but smooth, dark, almost iridescent, like oil on water, still crisscrossed with the vibrant, glowing patterns that pulsed with internal light. She wasn't exactly human-shaped, lean and elongated, with joints that seemed to bend slightly differently, and the humming was stronger now, emanating from her entire body. My breath hitched. She was beautiful in a terrifying, alien way. The raw power, the glowing core, the sheer otherness of her. She extended a hand towards me. Not a tentative gesture, but a firm invitation. "Come." The bond grows restless. The dissonance will soon bring agony. We must align. Now, the low thrumming in my chest was building. A dull ache was starting to spread, just like she'd warned. It was a physical manifestation of the dissonance, the bond pattern resisting its incomplete state. I looked at her, standing there in the glowing chamber, a figure of alien power and vulnerability. My brain screamed danger. My body, driven by the primal urge to survive, and the strange new thrumming within it, urged me forward. "Right," I said, my voice raspy. "No time like the present for a cosmic quickie, I guess." I stepped towards her, towards the light, towards the unknown territory of merging with an alien warrior under the ancient energy of the crucible. Surrender or not, the rites were upon me, and terminal instability wasn't on my itinerary. I walked towards her, into the pooling light of the chamber. The air grew warmer, thicker, charged with an energy that felt both ancient and intensely personal. The humming intensified, not just in my chest now, but vibrating through my whole body, syncing with the soft thrumming emanating from her. She stood perfectly still, her glowing, iridescent form a stark contrast to the dark rock walls. Her multifaceted eyes tracked my every move. When I was close enough, she reached out again, not just her hand this time, but both arms. Not to grasp, but to embrace. Slowly, deliberately. I hesitated for a fraction of a second, my human instincts screaming at me to run from the alien unknown. But the thrumming in my chest, the building ache of the dissonance, overruled the fear. And something else stirred, a primal curiosity, a reluctant fascination with this powerful, beautiful, terrifying creature. I stepped into her embrace, her arms, strong and surprisingly yielding beneath the glowing skin, wrapped around me. She was taller than me, so I rested my head against her shoulder, feeling the smooth, warm surface of her skin, the constant, low vibration of her being. The glowing lines on her body seemed to flare brighter where she touched me, as if reacting to my presence. "The vessels converge," she murmured, her voice a low rumble against my ear. The humming from her throat nodes intensified, vibrating directly into my skull. It wasn't gentle. It was primal, driven by need, the need of the bond, the rites, the crucible's energy, and perhaps something deeper, a biological imperative I couldn't comprehend. She guided me down onto the warm, glowing floor of the chamber. Not roughly, but with an undeniable purpose. The soft, concave surface felt like it molded itself to us as we lay together, the light pooling around us. She moved over me, her weight surprisingly light despite her size. Her glowing eyes were locked on mine, an intense, searching gaze that seemed to strip away everything but the raw essence of me. The humming grew louder, a resonant chord that filled the chamber, vibrating within both of us, a bridge of pure energy. She leaned down, her face close to mine. The patterns on her skin pulsed with urgent light. "Align," she commanded, her voice thick with intensity. Yield to the resonance. Let the bond flow. Yield. That word again? Every fiber of my being resisted the idea of surrendering, of submitting, but the thrumming in my chest was now a burning ache, a desperate need for that promised stability, and looking into those swirling, ancient eyes, feeling the strange, compelling energy radiating from her, resistance felt futile. It felt like fighting the tide, fighting gravity, fighting the fundamental forces of this world, of this bond. Slowly, reluctantly, I let go. I stopped fighting the feeling, the energy, her presence. I relaxed my muscles, stopped racing myself. I let the thrumming wash over me, through me, trying to match its rhythm, its intensity. It felt like falling into a warm, vibrating ocean. As I yielded, a change came over her. The raw command in her eyes softened, replaced by something more primal, more focused. The humming deepened, becoming a purring sound, a powerful, resonant vibration that seemed to vibrate through me, from her synchronizing our rhythms. She moved against me, a strange, alien friction that was both unnerving and intensely arousing. Her body, so different from a human's, found points of contact that sent shivers down my spine. The glowing lines on her skin seemed to connect with the lingering tingle on my chest, creating a circuit of light and energy between us. Her lips met mine. They weren't soft and pliant like a human's, but firm, warm, with a strange, dry texture. The kiss was not tender. It was a deep, open-mouthed joining, her tongue exploring mine, tasting, testing. The humming intensified, a roar of sound and vibration that filled my head, drowning out thought, leaving only sensation. She moved lower, her body pressing into mine, guiding me, initiating the physical exchange. It wasn't about pleasure, not at first. It was about necessity, about the rights, about aligning the bond. But as our bodies joined, as the energy between us built, something shifted. The raw, primal act became something more. The shared vulnerability, the intense physical connection driven by this alien imperative, ignited something unexpected, something hot and urgent. The humming reached a crescendo, a vibrating roar that seemed to shake the very rock around us. The light in the chamber flared, blindingly bright. I felt a jolt, a powerful surge of energy ripping through me, echoing the one I'd felt in the crucible. It was painful, electric, and then it shattered into pure exquisite sensation. My body convulsed. A guttural sound ripped from my throat, not entirely my own, and as I climaxed, lost in the vibrating torrent of light and energy and alien sensation, I felt a sharp, burning pressure on my chest, directly over the tingling mark she'd left earlier. She cried out too, a resonant sound that mingled with mine, a sound of release, of completion. Her body tensed, her glowing lines pulsing with rapid, brilliant light, then silence. The blinding light faded, leaving the softer glow of the chamber. The intense humming subsided to a low thrum, a gentle vibration that now felt deeply embedded within me, within my chest, connected to hers. We lay tangled together on the warm, glowing floor, breathing hard. My body ached, every nerve ending singing with residual energy. The air was thick with the smell of ozone and something musky and alien that I now knew was hers. Slowly, she stirred. She lifted herself slightly, looking down at me. Her swirling eyes were different now. Exhausted, perhaps. But also, something else. Possession? The claim is sealed, she stated, her voice rough with recent intensity. The bond is anchored. You are resonant. I pushed myself up onto my elbows, looking down at my chest. The burning pressure had faded, leaving a faint warmth. And there, visible even through my torn shirt, was a mark. A glowing, swirling pattern of light etched onto my skin, mirroring the symbols in the chamber, mirroring the patterns on her own body. It pulsed faintly, in sync with the thrumming in my chest. What? What is this? I asked, my voice shaky. The mark of the claim, she replied. Proof of the alignment. Proof of the bond. My blood ran cold. The mark. She had marked me, claimed me, physically, irrevocably. This wasn't just a metaphorical bond. It was a literal one, etched into my flesh, humming beneath my skin. You, you branded me? I marked you, she corrected, her tone flat. As the rights demand. As the bond requires for full stabilization. Full stabilization. Great. So the cosmic sex wasn't just a one-off solution. It was the initiation of something permanent. She shifted, disentangling herself from me. She rose to her feet in the glowing chamber, her iridescent skin still shimmering, the glowing patterns on her body radiating a soft light. She looked utterly alien, powerful, and now terrifyingly intimate. The claim is acknowledged by the crucible, she stated, her voice regaining some of its previous command. You are now under my protection, my responsibility, my bonded. Bonded. The word hung in the air. It wasn't mate. It wasn't partner. It was bonded. A concept alien and demanding. And this mark? I asked, touching the glowing pattern on my chest. It stays? It fades outwardly, she replied. But its resonance remains. It is the anchor. The link. The link. I felt it now. The subtle, constant thrumming in my chest. No longer an ache, but a low, steady vibration that felt connected to her own humming, to the energy of this place. It was like a second heartbeat, an alien one, tied to hers. So, what happens now? I asked, getting to my feet. My legs felt wobbly. My body felt different, charged, and marked. Now, she said, stepping towards the entrance of the chamber. We face the outside. The claim protects against internal dissonance, but external threats, those they require mutual defense. External threats. The ancient blood cult. That's right, I'd been so caught up in the alien trial and the forced merging, I'd forgotten the initial danger that had driven me here in the first place. The cultists were still out there, and now, apparently, I had to face them alongside my new alien bonded. She stopped at the entrance, looking out into the dim passage. The soft, ambient light of the chamber illuminated her profile, the intricate glowing patterns on her skin pulsing with anticipation, or maybe readiness. Come, she commanded without looking back. The rites have been fulfilled. The bond is forged. Now, we survive together. I looked down at the glowing mark on my chest, feeling the steady thrum beneath my skin. Bonded, claimed, merged, all in the span of a few hours thanks to a crash landing and an alien warrior lady who didn't believe in slow introductions. My life had just taken a turn for the irrevocably strange and dangerous. But as I followed her out of the glowing chamber, stepping back into the dark passage, feeling the undeniable link between us, I knew one thing for sure. I wasn't alone anymore. For better or worse, my survival was now tied to hers, bound by energy, ritual, and a cosmic quickie that had left me marked for life. We moved through the dark passages, the glowing patterns on her body providing the only light. The air felt different now. The distant humming of the magnetic rocks was punctuated by faint, unsettling sounds. Scrabbling, clicking, low growls. The ancient blood cult was close. My hand instinctively went to where my blaster used to be, a useless gesture. I was unarmed, bonded to an alien warrior, and about to face down hostile fanatics in their own territory. Just a typical Tuesday. What exactly are these cultists? I whispered, trying to keep my voice steady. The thrumming in my chest, the mark she'd left, felt like a low growl mirroring the sounds outside. They are the dissonant, she replied, her voice low and kalajchoram. Followers of a broken path. They seek to corrupt the ancient energies, to seize the power of the crucible for their own decaying forms. And my sudden appearance here bonded to you has probably made me enemy number one, right? You are the Skyform, she stated. The anomaly that resonated. You represent a disruption to their twisted order. They will seek to consume your energy, to sever the bond. Sever the bond? The thought sent a jolt of something cold and sharp through me, not just because it would kill me, but because of the unexpected intimacy of it now. That terrifying, exhilarating merging in the chamber, the undeniable physical and energetic link that now existed between us, the idea of it being ripped apart, it felt like a violation. So, they want to kill me, drain my energy, and break whatever the resonance thing is. I summarized. Fantastic. What's your plan for dealing with the cult of energy vampires? She stopped, pressing her back against the rock wall, listening intently. Her glowing eyes scanned the darkness ahead. My plan is the way of the rights, defense, purity. The bonded forms fight as one. The combined resonance, it repels the dissonant. Fight as one? The energy bond wasn't just for cosmic sex. It was supposed to make us a combat unit. I felt the thrumming in my chest strengthen, a strange sense of readiness, of heightened awareness that felt like it wasn't entirely my own. It was her presence, channeled through the bond, preparing me. Okay, fight as one, I muttered. Just need you to translate that for the human element, because my idea of fighting as one usually involves coordinating fire teams, not relying on mystical vibrations. Think not of separate actions, she commanded, her voice low. Think of unified intent. I will move. You will react, the bond guides. The resonance strengthens your vessel. Great. So I was supposed to be her combat intuition conduit. Just point me at the enemy. I guess ahead. The sounds grew louder. Footsteps, scrabbling claws, hushed, chanting voices. They were closing in. I could hear the distinct click-click of alien limbs on rock. She melted into the shadows, her form almost invisible save for the faint glow of her patterns. I followed, pressing myself flat against the wall, trying to breathe quietly, my heart hammered, but the thrumming in my chest was strangely calming, a steady anchor against the fear. 3 figures emerged from the darkness ahead, not plated like her, but withered, hunched. Their skin was dry and cracked, like sun-baked earth, and their eyes were hollow, burning with a feverish, malevolent light. They wore tattered robes and carried crude, bone-like weapons that pulsed with faint, sickly green energy. The dissonant. They weren't looking for me specifically. Not yet. They were scanning the area, sniffing the air. Their attention seemed focused on the entrance to the Chamber of Alignment. The claim is new, one of them hissed. A dry, rattling sound. The energy trail is fresh. The anomaly form. It resonates with the pure pulse. Find it, another rasp. Find the sky form. Break the bonding. Claim the pulse for the dying core. They began to spread out, searching the passage. One was coming directly towards where we were hidden. My muscles tensed. I braced myself for the fight. Then she moved. Not a head-on charge. A blur of motion in the shadows. She was impossibly fast. One moment, she was beside me. The next, she was behind the approaching cultist. There was a brief, sharp cry, the sound of snapping bone, and the first, dissonant, crumpled to the ground. The other 2 spun around, their green glowing weapons raised. They saw her, a figure of shimmering light and shadow, standing over their fallen comrade. And then they saw me, pressed against the wall. The sky form. One shrieked. The bonded one. They lunged. The thrumming in my chest flared, a sudden surge of energy. It wasn't just sensation now, it felt like raw power coursing through me, sharpening my senses, heightening my reflexes. My body moved almost on its own, guided by an instinct that wasn't entirely mine. She met the first cultist head-on, deflecting its glowing weapon with an armored forearm, the impact sparking against her plates. I didn't have a weapon, but I had hands, feet, and a lifetime of fighting dirty. As the second cultist rushed towards me, I let the strange, amplified instinct guide me. I dodged the initial lunge, feeling the strange energy surge as I moved, making me faster, more agile than I'd ever been. The dissonant was surprisingly strong, its grip like iron when it grabbed for me. But my reaction speed was off the charts. The thrumming bond felt like a direct line between her movements and mine, anticipating, guiding. I twisted, using the cultist's momentum against it, aiming a kick at its exposed knee. There was a sickening crack. The cultist roared in pain and fury. As it stumbled, she was there. A flash of shimmering movement, a precise strike, and the second cultist fell, only one left. He retreated slightly, eyes wide with fear and hatred, darting between her and me. "The bond is strong," he hissed. "The resonance. Danchin, it burns." He raised his weapon, directing the sickly green energy towards me. I felt the thrumming bond surge again, pulling at me. It wasn't a thought, it was a directive, guiding my body. Dive left. Now, I hit the ground as the green energy beam sliced through the air where I'd been standing. It struck the rock wall, leaving a smoking, hissing gouge. I scrambled back, keeping my eyes on the last dissonant. She didn't rush him. She stalked forward slowly, radiating power, her glowing form a beacon of pure, untainted energy compared to his corrupted glow. The thrumming in my chest synced with the rhythm of her advance, a silent shared pulse of dominance. He was terrified. He knew he couldn't beat her. But he looked at me, saw the mark on my chest, and a fresh wave of hate distorted his face. He made a final, desperate lunge. Not at her, but at me again. His bone weapon aimed at my chest at the mark. "Break the bond," he shrieked. "Reclaim the pulse." I tensed, ready to dodge again, letting the bond guide me. But she was faster. As he lunged, she intercepted him. Not with a killing blow this time, but with something else. She grabbed his wrist, her plated hand like a vice. Her glowing patterns flared with brilliant white light, washing over the cultist. He screamed, not in pain, but in agony. His withered form began to shudder violently. The sickly green light of his weapon in his eyes sputtered and died. The thrumming in my chest roared, a terrifying echo of his torment. I felt the energy transfer through the bond, a surge of pure power cleansing, consuming. The cultist rapidly decayed, his dry skin cracking, his form shrinking, until he collapsed into a pile of dust and withered robes. Silence. Only our breathing and the faint, steady thrumming of the bond between us. She stood over the pile of dust, her glowing form radiating power. She looked that purified, stronger. The fight had energized her. She turned to me, her swirling eyes scanning me from head to foot. "You are unharmed," she stated. It wasn't a question. "Yeah," I said, getting slowly to my feet, brushing dust off my torn clothes. My body still hummed with residual energy, buzzing under my skin. "Thanks to you, and whatever the hell that bond is doing." She approached me, her movements deliberate. She stopped, just in front of me, the soft light from her body illuminating my face. She reached out, her hand going directly to the mark on my chest. Her fingers traced the glowing pattern, and a wave of warmth spread through me, soothing the last echoes of the fight. "The bond guided your vessel," she said, her voice softer now. "It allowed your form to utilize the latent resonance to move." Since I moved. "Yeah, felt like someone else was driving for a second there," I admitted. "Fastest I've ever moved. Also, the most terrifying." She nodded slowly, her eyes holding mine. "Fear is a natural response, but the bond transcends it. It replaces doubt with instinct, chaos with resonance." The mark under her fingers pulsed steadily. It wasn't just a symbol anymore. It felt like a part of me, connected to her, pulsing with shared energy. The claim, the bond. It wasn't just a ritual, it was a fundamental change to my very being. "So," I said, swallowing hard, "we survived. The dissonant are gone. For now." "For now," she agreed. "This quadrant is cleansed, but others exist. They will sense the rise in resonance. They will seek the source, meaning us," I finished for her. "The bonded pair. Target number one for the rest of the energy vampires." She nodded again. "The claim now marks you. You are visible to the dissonant. To walk alone would be unwise, lethal, unwise, lethal." My options were dwindling rapidly. Stay and die, or stay and stick with the glowy alien warrior who had claimed me through a mystical trial and forced intimacy. Given the lethal consequences of breaking the bond or being found alone, the choice was stark. So I'm basically stuck with you now, I stated, looking at the mark on my chest, then up at her face. Forever bonded to the alien lady who vibrated me into submission and branded me. She let out that low, resonant sound again. Definitely amusement this time. Bonded implies mutual fate. Claimed implies that possession. Tomato, tomato, I said, though my sarcasm lacked its usual bite. Look, we're connected. Physically, energetically, whatever you call it. And apparently my continued existence depends on that connection and on you not letting the bad guys dissolve me or whatever. Precisely, she said, confirming my grim assessment. She didn't seem to find it grim at all. She seemed content. She took her hand off my chest. The mark pulsed once more, a silent affirmation of the connection. The chamber of alignment provides sanctuary for the newly bonded, she stated, her gaze sweeping over the dark passage where the cultists had just dissolved. But it is not a permanent dwelling. This world is hostile. We must seek, balance. Balance? What does that mean? Finding our place within the flow, she explained. Utilizing the bond, surviving the threats, and, propagating the resonance. Propagating the resonance. That sounded suspiciously like alien baby talk. My brain froze for a second. Was this bond, this claim, also about reproduction? Propagating the resonance, I repeated slowly, trying to keep the shock off my face. You mean, like, Deshin? Kids? Her head tilted. The light on her plates seemed to shimmer. Forms propagate to ensure continuity. The bonded form creates stronger resonance. It is the way. The way, right, of course it was. I was bonded, claimed, marked, and apparently now on the fast track to becoming an alien baby daddy. My life had gone from crashing a cargo pod to potential interspecies parenthood in less than a day. Okay, I said, running a hand over my face again. This was too much, too fast, too airily. But looking at her, feeling the thrumming mark on my chest, I knew there was no going back. My world had collided with hers violently and irrevocably. Okay, balance, survival, propagating the resonance. Got it. Aside, looks like I'm not going anywhere anytime soon. She stepped closer again, reaching out not to touch the mark this time, but to take my hand. Her hand was warm, firm, the plate smooth beneath my fingers. The glowing patterns on her hand pulsed softly, syncing with the mark on my chest. It was a gesture of connection, of acceptance, of claim. You are of the claim now, she said, her voice softer than I'd heard it before. Your essence is bound to mine. We walk the path. Together. Together, I echoed, squeezing her hand, feeling the strange, alien strength of her grip, the pulsing warmth of the bond flowing between us. It was terrifying. It was insane. It was my new reality. And maybe, just maybe, surviving with a powerful, claimed alien warrior by my side was better than dying alone in the magnetic desert. Maybe. I still wasn't entirely sure, but I was willing to find out. I had no other choice. My heart and the mark on my chest now beat with an alien rhythm.